The book of Jeremiah is found in three major religious traditions. Judaism considers the book of Jeremiah a part of its canons. Christianity regards Jeremiah as a prophet, and he is quoted in the New Testament. Islam considers Jeremiah a prophet. Today we study a major prophet. Jeremiah began his ministry during the reign of King Josiah. Now, Israel was in a state of turmoil. The northern kingdom had fallen to the Babylonians, who were the regional power. Josiah was a good king. Unlike his grandfather before him, he had turned the nation back to the true God. His loyalty to God kept the nation strong enough to fend off the Babylonian aggression. Upon Josiah's death, the leaders that followed him led Israel astray. That wasn't hard, since the people had a lingering lust for false gods and sinful living. With Israel spiritually weak, the Babylonians ransacked Jerusalem and destroyed the Temple of Solomon. Like others, Jeremiah resisted the call of Yahweh. He did not want to have ministering as a part of his life's plan. And God told him, "I knew you before you were born and had plans for your life from birth." Note 1. The God of the universe knows each of us, even when we are still in our mother's wombs. God knows our talents and exposes us to various experiences so that we can grow and be prepared for the mission He has planned for us. It is our fear, our reluctance, and our own plans for our lives that keep us from using our talents and being the powerful instrument God has crafted us to be. Jeremiah first complained that he was too young, only a child, and did not know how to speak. He was giving excuses. Like many of us, we make excuses. I don't have enough time. I am not the right person. That's not a part of my 5-year plan. Jeremiah says he's too young. God told him not to give him these poor excuses and commanded him to get ready to spread his word. He challenged him to walk out on his faith, saying, "Don't be afraid, because God will be with you." The Lord insisted that Jeremiah go and speak, and he touched Jeremiah's mouth to place the word of the Lord there. Lesson after lesson, we see that God can take away all excuses. So note 2, when truly called by God, no amount of excuses will be enough. Martin Luther King came back to the South in order to be a minister of a prosperous church. But no amount of excuses would keep him from his destiny to lead his people. The character traits and practices Jeremiah acquired are specific to Jeremiah, given to him by God. They include not being afraid, standing up to speak, speaking as he was instructed, and going as he was instructed. This young minister was appointed over the nation of Israel. His charge was to use the word of God, the words that God put in his mouth, to uproot and tear down the nation, separating them from their false gods and evil traditions that they had acquired under bad kings. Jeremiah was charged to destroy and overthrow those traditions and to build back a new nation that would follow God. In his early ministry, Jeremiah was primarily a preaching prophet, preaching throughout Israel. He condemned idolatry, the greed of the priests, and false prophets. Jeremiah is described as having grown in his ministry. As an early minister, he could hardly read, and now, as he grew and matured, he was fully literate, mature, and ready to deliver these messages. These experiences helped Jeremiah to speak to major religious traditions today. Note 3. God can make us more than we even imagine. Taking a young, illiterate preacher and turning him into a major prophet, able to charge and speak to a nation of Israel, as well as nations and religious traditions in the future, only God can do that. Our short-sighted views do not prevent God's long-range views from moving forward. That's the lesson for this week. You guys have a great week. Bye.